Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Project GEEKcast, the podcast that airs once every year. My name is Josh Jones. I'm here with my good friend Chris Glansman. Say hello to the people, Chris.
Hello.
And today we're talking about how COVID-19 has affected upcoming movies. Since this is like kind of a serious topic, I want to say we both want to say thank you to everyone who's out
hmm
there working right now. It's a pretty dangerous time, but they are keeping the world a little bit more normal for us. But with that being said, we wanted to have like a good time and like just try to make the most out of a bad situation. Uh,
Absolutely.
but Chris, could you tell us about the movies that COVID-19 has sadly taken away from us?
Of course I can, Josh. So there's a lot of movies that have been pushed back, either that have finished production or that have been kind of their production has been halted. So stuff like Tom Holland's Uncharted, the new Jurassic World movie, Fantastic Beasts 3, and the new Cinderella movie, which I had not heard of, with
Neither had
Camila
I.
Cabello as the lead. Um, and then stuff that was others. Those are things that were canceled in production, and then things that were kind of delayed, like Mulan, New Mutants, the new James Bond movie, Quiet Place 2, Wonder Woman, and Black Widow, and all the subsequent MCU films. So
Yeah,
just
and
kind
all
of
yeah, and all those movies were slated to be out like during the summerish time. What was there any like movies on that list that you were
except for
particularly?
Fast and Furious 9.
Oh, that one
It
is.
was
I mean,
pushed back from May 22 to April 2nd of next year,
next,
which is
but
almost a year.
it's ridiculous. And my like,
Yeah,
I mean, sorry, like of course, like respect to the situation, like what's going on. But I think it's pretty insane that it's pushed back so far away.
very far. It might have just been late production as well. They might have just been in later stages of production. They couldn't get it all done by then.
Yeah,
So they
I
had
mean,
more time anyway. I don't know.
yeah. I forget what the actor's name is. Have never seen the Fast and Furious movies, but like his name's like Tyrese or something. I'm probably butchering his name, but I saw this, like some tweet from him, and he was talking about how, he was happy that it got pushed back, so it's like a safer time where people can go to the theaters and not be like concerned that they're gonna
hmm
get sick.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but is there any movies on that list that you're like particularly upset about that got pushed back or were affected?
Um, Nothing too crazy, I don't think. A lot of the movies either I have little interest in, or some of the like for Fantastic Beasts, some of the the second movie kind of made me less interested in where the third
Mm,
movie was going. But I'll still go see it. But like The Quiet Place 2, I want to see. That looks good. And Black Widow are the big two, I think, that
mm.
affect me.
Black Widow is the one that hit me the hardest, just because I got kind of excited because when I came back from college, I was able to go watch it with my dad again, and I always go watch the Marvel movies with my family. But then when it got pushed back, I was like, man, like I don't know like where this is gonna end up now. Maybe it's gonna be more difficult for me to watch it with my family. I don't know how that's gonna work out. And then it also pushed back all the other Marvel movies that are supposed to be coming out soon, which I think is pretty crazy. And like I don't know how that's gonna how I feel because I feel like Avengers Endgame was a pretty good ending to the Marvel movies in general. And I'm gonna watch the rest of these Marvel movies, but I don't know how big my hype is gonna be now that I have to wait.
Yeah, it all depends on the tempo that they set with Black Widow, the first movie back since basically the close of the Infinity Saga.
Exactly. And I also want to mention I was excited for New Mutants, which has been delayed numerous times. Like I thought the movie was never going to come out. Same thing with Uncharted. I didn't think that movie was ever going to come out. And now like it seemed like these movies were finally going to happen for us, but COVID had to hit and take them away a little bit longer.
Here we are.
But some of the movies that were a little bit closer to being finished, or some movies that were completely finished, have moved on to streaming platforms instead.
hmm
Um, Top ones on my list that are or the ones that come to mind immediately are Onward, Birds of Prey, and Trolls World Tour.
And
Um,
don't forget Sonic the Hedgehog.
oh, Sonic the Hedgehog. I totally forgot about Toy Sonic. I'm so sorry.
Still going
Um,
for Sonic.
have you been watching any of these movies that have like been taken out
Literally
of
none of
theaters?
them.
None of them.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason why you haven't seen any of them?
No, I mean I've wanted to watch Onward, uh, and it's on Disney Plus, so I could watch it virtually whenever. Birds of Prey, I'll probably just wait and I might watch with my family later, maybe just when it comes out on DVD or when it comes out for rental.
Hmm.
Um, Trolls cannot say that I, But
Sorry, what did you say? You cut out for me.
oh, for which one?
Trolls.
I just cannot say that I wanted to watch it in general. It just kind of
Are you
was
telling
not
me
on
that
my list.
you're telling me that the beautiful voices of Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake, excuse me, not Jake Gyllenhaal. I was gonna say Gyllenhaal. Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake did not like sell you on this movie?
Somewhat off topic. Can't Stop the Feeling from the original. Not it.
I think it's a bop, man. I think it's so good. I think it's fun.
Okay, talk about this later.
All right. The only movie on this list that, or like, only movie that has been like pushed to a VOD, a video on demand that I've seen is Onward because that was available for free or for free
Hmm.
on Disney Plus. Actually, my family
Additional
gets it for free.
charge.
Exactly. I have been really excited to watch Birds of Prey actually, despite what people have been saying. Um, but I can't convince myself to rent the movie for $20. Like I
Yeah.
understand like it isn't like that much more than a regular ticket, but I'd be the only one in my family who would want to watch it. So I'd watch it by myself and spend $20 on that, which I could like probably get a ticket for what, $12 probably, and it's that price range that's really stopping me from getting it.
Mhm. Speaking of that, I feel like, especially with the $20 to rent, with like Trolls World Tour
Hmm.
made $100 million in the first 2 weeks with the direct release, and I feel like this is a really good thing for streaming specifically. This kind of
Hmm.
stuff where you charge $20 to rent for a household. Because the thing is, if my family, there's 6 people in my family, if we go to see the movie, we're paying like $100 in tickets. It's absurd. But if we rent for $20 a household movies we want to see, we may have to wait longer, unless they do like this, where they do the direct to online releases. But it's substantially cheaper to see it just in person. Or
Definitely. Yeah, no, definitely. And you started touching on it, but Trolls is breaking new ground in like the movie movie landscape. Trolls, like unlike Birds of Prey and Onward, which were in theaters for like maybe like a couple weeks. Birds of Prey was in there for like a month, maybe like 3 weeks. Onward was in maybe a couple weeks, but Trolls premiered as a VOD. It wasn't in theaters and then came
mhm,
out later, and it got 100 million in the first 3 weeks, like you said, which is insane and it's nuts, but it's probably like exactly what you were saying. I think it's families, and I think it's a lot cheaper for that family of you like six or four or like whatever to pay $20 as opposed to paying what it might have been like 40, maybe even 80 if you're a big
mhm,
family to go watch this movie. And I think that allowed them to more easily go see it. And it's really nice now for them too, because during quarantine when there's kids are probably at home screaming their heads off, and they just need a distraction.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that leads us to our next topic, which is the controversy with AMC and Regal. Could you tell us more about that, Chris?
Yeah, so the big thing with that is with the release of these movies and the direct success, it's like a cut out of the middleman. So the movie theaters don't have to take a cut. That they don't have to take a cut of the profits. It all goes directly to the company. So NBC Universal's CEO Jeff Shell, in a quote to the Wall Street Journal, said, "The results for Trolls World Tour have exceeded our expectations and demonstrated the viability of PVOD. As soon as theaters reopen, we expect to release movies on both formats." And this is kind of, even though they say that, it's kind of led to AMC and Regal's parent company, Cineworld Group, saying that they will not play Universal Pictures. So
Yeah.
that's, not only is that going to affect stuff like Trolls, but it's going to affect, like we mentioned, the Fast and Furious 9, that I believe is a Universal picture. And
Hmm.
even with a delay, it's if that comes out, it's not coming out in those theaters as of now. So it's just kind of,
Exactly. It represents a time like it would be a loss of money probably for the movie theaters to show these movies if they're also being released on VOD at the same exact time. And so it comes down to like what's more important, the or what's better for consumers, what's better for jobs. Like it's the whole multifaceted issue
Mhm.
that we have here about what's going to happen. Do you think that NBC Universal is going to cave?
So I don't know if they'll cave exactly because they'd be making more direct money, and especially on like the graduated system for the profits that you were telling me about earlier about how the initially the studio is making most of the money for the sales for like the first week, and then it gradually gets more in favor of the theater itself.
Hmm.
But the thing with that is they also, like you said with the jobs kind of thing, it's not just one thing. You can't just focus on specifically how much money your company can make. So I think they could end up doing something like a staggered release
Hmm.
where they release directly to theaters first, um, and they give like a buffer of a month or two or a couple weeks, where where more of the profit goes, where they change up the graduate system, so more of the profit goes towards the theater itself, and they release directly to digital after. So people who are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to go to the theater to see this," they can just get it pretty quickly rather than waiting for a normal direct to DVD release.
Hmm.
Um, but people can also go see it in the theater, and the theater can still make money and hire people, and the studios can still make money and hire people, that kind of stuff.
Definitely. I don't totally have my thoughts like centered on this whole issue, but it I personally I like for a big studio like Universal, I think if anything they're losing by getting it to theaters, which I think is a big concern
Mm.
because I I think Trolls, which it's so surprising that this is the movie that proved this whole idea of a video on demand as a premiere release, but Trolls has proved that they can have a very successful movie launch, and not have to be relying on theaters, not have to rely on people going out to go get that money for them. This shows that a lot of people are going to be willing to buy this movie. Like Trolls was the top on like Amazon. I think it was Google, iTunes, like wherever that movie was, it was typically like on the number one of sales.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of interesting to think that this kind of thing, if this is how the studios tend to go from here on out, this could really basically wipe movie theaters out if it's
Exact
executed in a certain way.
exactly. And so I talked to you a little bit about this earlier, but there was recently a film theory by Matt Pat talking about what he thinks will happen to movie theaters later on, because he was saying that there will always be the audience of people who want to go there for the movies, whether that's for the big crowds or just because they think that's the most authentic way of like watching film, right? And especially like for like indie films, there are a lot of purists out there who are gonna want to go watch those and like the little like not crag. I don't mean like I don't want to be like diminutive of the movie theaters, but they want that like kind of the old fashioned feel
Yeah.
behind it. But he was saying that he thinks that movies are going to turn more into large stadium events, which is not something I totally agree with. But I do think that he's starting to hit on something that movies are turning into nowadays. And I think that it's kind of community based if anything. I think we
Hmm.
saw that especially with the release of Avengers Endgame, where of course, I want to be there in the movie theater for the big screen and the big speakers that are just like booming, so I could feel my chair shake, but also hearing the audience like scream that energy, and like even like if you go to a comedy and when everyone laughs in the movie theater, it's a nice bonding experience, and so perhaps that's what we'll see movies go to. Maybe there will be like very few movies that go into theaters, and when they do, that'll be like a premium experience.
Hmm. And like someone along those lines, I feel like the only problem with theaters going away in the capacity that they're at now,
Mhm.
maybe they'll roll it back and they're limited and be more limited. But I feel like there's a lot of movies, like my mother specifically, unwilling. There's certain movies that she's like, okay, maybe I'll watch that, but I will not see it in theaters. No way. And there are certain movies that'll come out and she'll be like, oh, we have to see that in the theater. So I feel like there's a lot of people who think, so that a new Avengers movie comes out. Oh, I have to go see that in the theater
Mhm.
because that not it's the experience of being in the theater, of seeing those kinds of movies in the theater, so much trumps the the feeling of seeing it just on your couch. If you're sitting on your couch and watching it on your TV, like most people, or just a normal couch and regular TV,
Hmm.
and you don't have all the surround sound, and you don't have a really big screen, and you can't like you don't have it's people are just gonna feel like they're missing out. I feel
Yeah,
like on a lot of these big experiences, if that makes sense.
definitely. Do you think that you'd be willing to convert to this half and half style where like maybe the big movies, the big blockbusters came out on theaters, and then like the bit not the smaller movies, but the movies that are less reliant or that aren't as well served by the like big screens and like the experience of being in the movie theater. Do you think that you would conform to that system easily?
I feel like the problem with that is, it's entirely subjective which movies people deem necessary to be in the big screen. There's
Definitely.
some things that I feel like a lot of people can agree on, like there's no real reason to go see a romance in the theater because you're going to get essentially the same
Whoa, whoa,
experience
whoa. Gotta
no
see
matter
that
what.
big screen kiss, man. Gotta see those
Like,
big lips
that's right.
on the
You're
screen.
right. Absolutely. There are certain things about romance movies that you you would like to see in the theater. But overall, I feel like there are genres of movies. I personally feel that there are certain genres of movies, but other people would think, oh, I'm not really interested in that. I want to see a mystery movie on the theater. I
Mhm.
want to see suspense or thriller in the theater. So I feel like it should be more, if we're going to do any half and half, it should be a more just limited showings,
Mm,
because and so that it's limiting the expenses of the theater and the expenses of the studio,
mhm.
and so that they can, because you want to maximize profits, obviously, but you also want to give people the opportunity to go see a movie in theaters if they want to, but also if they don't want to, just buy it at home. You know.
Definitely. I might be a bit of a cheapskate, but the scariest thing to me is paying that $20 to go watch some movie that I would have went to the movie theater to watch for $12. And actually, that's also not including the food that you buy.
Mhm.
And so maybe that does make the transition a little bit easier if like I get to buy like my own popcorn that I get for like a couple cents. But I guess like if I go watch a movie by myself, like at my house, like maybe I want to watch, I don't know, what's a random movie that got pushed back that probably won't, like Cinderella. Let's say that I would watch Cinderella with
Mhm.
Camilla Cabello at home by myself, right? At $20 is a lot more money than what I probably would have spent when if I just went to the movie theater. And
Mhm.
I'm not sure whether or not I am at a point in my life where I'm like I can easily throw that money away. And it does make it a bit easier if you have friends or family who also want to watch it with you because they can help like take
Mhm.
away some of the burden, some of the price, and it's cheaper for you depending if you have a family or whatnot. But I don't know. That's another like that's another gap I'll have to cross when we get to that point, if we get
Yeah.
to that point.
Definitely.
And then and our like last of our like big points that we're going to cover, um, it's because of the pandemic that's going on. A lot of people have, a lot of movie theater employees have lost their job and they're no longer working. And so there is currently a campaign with the Will Rogers Motion Pictures Pioneers Foundation that's going on to raise money for movie theater employees. And Lionsgate is having this like special service called Lionsgate Live at the movies that I find very interesting and very fun. But you haven't heard about this yet, have you?
I've not.
So every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, figure out your time conversions. I'm not doing that for you. Uh, at 9 Eastern Standard Time, they're showing a movie, basically. So last week I watched La La Land. I went on to movie clips on YouTube and they streamed the whole thing. It was hosted by Jamie Lee Curtis. She hosted the event, and um, this upcoming week is John Wick and they're showing and it's basically a free movie with just like a bit of push to donate to what I think is a good cause.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really interesting actually, because you're watching a free movie. I'm sure that's giving jobs to the production team for the filming and the setup of the thing. Jamie Lee Curtis for hosting.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's giving to I would agree a pretty good cause. There's a lot of people who have been put out of jobs by this virus, and if you can help out in any way, even if it's just like a small way, going to watch a movie, getting
Exactly.
building up the viewership. The more people watch, the more people, um, the odds are. Let me reword that. The more people watch, the more likely it is that there are people who will donate, if
Exactly.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and like the more people that watch, the more publicity it gets, and like it's this really amazing positive feedback loop that happens. And also, for the most part, you can watch a good movie. Like I'm not the biggest fan of John Wick, gotta be honest, but I don't know, but like a lot of people love that movie, and a lot of people haven't seen that movie before, and this is like a really great opportunity for them to go watch it. Like it helps not only these people who are out of jobs, which I think is probably the biggest case for the greatest good that comes out of it, but also just for like the regular people who just want to go watch a movie and are bored
Yeah,
at
for
night
sure.
because they're stuck in their home all day.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a big problem too.
yeah, so that's a huge recommendation for me. That's something that I'm gonna probably keep up doing. I'll probably tune in, maybe not every Friday, but like whenever there's a movie on that I want to watch, I'll probably tune in for that. So when we're on that note, what have you been doing to stay entertained, Chris?
Uh, the big things. I just got out of finals week last week.
Congrats.
I just finished year one. Uh, been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. Love Animal Crossing. Uh, watching some movies. Just kind of getting ready to move and head back on the road back up home
Back home.
pretty soon. So that's what I've been doing. What about you?
Awesome. I've also been stuck in the Animal Crossing grind for the while. I am a servant to Tom Nook. I am slightly falling off though, which is a bit scary. I don't want people to move away,
Hmm.
but we'll see. I'm working on watching series that I've always wanted to watch, and I'm working on catching up on a lot of movies. So I just hit season 7 of Game of Thrones, which is a season where people say everything was bad. So I'll keep you updated probably about how bad that show is or how good the show is
Sure.
and how I feel. Um, and I actually got this list of 100 greatest movies. It's like a big interactive poster where you can like scratch off like when you've seen one, and you can like give a little star rating. It's just like a kind of cute, fun thing to do. And there are a lot of movies I haven't seen that people say are really good, and so I'm trying to use that to get more cinematically cultured, as I
Yeah,
say.
I gotta do that too. My dad's been recommending me mostly like cheesy comedy movies, like stuff that I will eventually watch, and cult classic stuff,
Hmm.
stuff that I will eventually that I have to get to.
Yeah,
And when's a better time than when I only have one summer class to deal with?
exactly. Honestly, it's like it's such a good time to like try to catch up on shows, discover new shows. Like that's what I'm hoping that I get out of this. And I'm gonna
Mhm.
do like my own personal work too. Like I'm gonna try to be productive on my own time, but I'm also
But
going to try to watch as much as I can.
mhm.
Um, Before we started this, you briefly alluded to some like recommendations that you saw from someone online.
Oh, I was watching. I'm staying with my grandparents, and they watch a lot of random things. The TV just kind of runs sometimes, and the list came on. Um, I think it was on. I don't know what it was, E News or something.
Oh yeah.
Um, but it was the one of the guys on there was listing a couple of movie series that he recommends that people watch.
Hmm.
Like this, these are some of the best movies. And then so the first thing that he mentioned was the new uh, Planet of the Apes trilogy, um, which is certainly a choice.
I
Uh,
haven't seen them. I've always wanted to watch them, but I haven't gotten to it.
first one is okay. The second one I really don't remember. And the third one, I think, isn't the third one with Woody Harrelson, I think?
I have no
That
idea.
one is also okay. It's a lot
Really?
of, I'm not passionate about it. I
People
wouldn't,
have told me that it's phenomenal, Chris. Maybe you're just stupid. Maybe you're just wrong. You could ever consider that?
it's more than likely. I mean, that's how most of my opinions are at this point about movies, talking to you. That's how it goes. That's fine. The next thing he said was the Star Wars series.
Hmm.
Naturally, that's the classic. But
Yeah.
he said specifically to start at episode 7 to get the best jumping off point for the series. And I don't know.
That's,
about that part.
that's definitely a controversial take. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about. I do understand that seven is like it's the it's not the most modern one because like of course that's Rise of Skywalker, but that's like the modern it's the start of the modern uh series, and it's the first one in that, and it's just like there's not too much you need to know. But I do feel like you do lose a bit if you don't get that little bit of that nostalgia burst. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, because seeing Han Solo doesn't mean anything to you if you haven't seen the original trilogy. You don't really care where Luke Skywalker is because you don't really know who he is. You don't know his journey, his
Yeah,
story.
you're not invested in, uh, shall we say, the events of the seventh movie.
Exactly.
And not to, I really, I guess, really, spoilers don't matter, given that the movie's been out for 4 years. But I don't want to say anything anyway.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably the same choice. I think that if I were to, if if someone was very opposed to watching A New Hope, which I feel like it's where you should start if you watch the movies, someone's very opposed to starting with A New Hope, I would start them with Rogue One. Not my favorite movie in the franchise, but I feel like it's pretty action packed, pretty dramatic, and
Hmm.
it's a very beautiful movie, very well shot, very good art design in that movie.
Yeah, because I feel like seven. The problem with starting with seven is that seven is you're starting in the middle of a saga. You're starting four, five, six, seven, eight, nine are one story running
Hmm.
essentially continuously
Yep.
with all like a lot of characters that continue through all six movies.
Hmm.
But if you start with four or with New Hope, you're not missing anything if you don't watch one, two, and three. Those
Yeah.
are prequels designed to expand on the universe that you've seen. They
Exactly.
those are not necessary to start with. But
Also not
I
very
would say
good.
to well, that depends on. They're not that bad though. They're not bad. The second one is like pretty mediocre. The third one is
Hmm.
good.
Sure, whatever you say. All right.
And the third, his third recommendation, or just to get off this topic, is the MCU. He talks about how it's a very long watch,
It's a long
but
watch.
it has and people he mentioned how a lot of people would think, oh, it's a superhero movie. It's not gonna there's not gonna be connection. But he talks about how you build genuine connections to the characters and are actually invested in what happens to them moving from movie to movie. Since in a lot of movies, even in like the post-credit scenes, you get connections to separate movies.
Definitely.
So everything is it's more connected and such a coherent thing that is so permeated into society now. I think it is. I do agree that that is one of the big things to watch during quarantine.
Definitely. I mean, I've been with the MC movies since 2008, since good old Iron Man first came on the screen. It has been such a wild ride. Like I told
Hmm.
you about how into it I am with Black Widow, how I was concerned or how I was upset that got pushed back. Um, but yeah, like if someone isn't isn't part of this like Marvel ride with the rest of us, where have you been? Like why are you like get out from underneath your rock and like get caught up on your what is it now 23, 22?
23, I think.
20, get caught up in your 23 movies. The majority of them are on the good side of
Yeah.
things. Unlike Star Wars, in my opinion, I feel like the majority of Star Wars
Mm.
movies are not very good. But
Yeah. It all depends.
hot take,
Hot
my hot
take.
take.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go on a crusade against you for that one.
uh, all right, and Chris, I think that's an amazing place to end our show with. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciated it. If you want more of our content, be sure to like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll get something out in a decent time that isn't a year. I think we're hoping to get something out by next week at the very latest,
But
and I think we should be able to do that, right, Chris?
yeah, I think so. Shouldn't be bad.
Yeah,
Uh, remember on Fridays at 9 p.m. go and check out the Lionsgate Live and donate if
definitely,
you can to the Will
definitely.
Rogers Motion Picture Pioneers Foundation.
Good, good cause. All right, thank you so much for talking to me, Chris. Always fun.
Always fun.
All right, this is Project GEEKcast logging off.